talking with Heaven and Earth guitarist Stuart Smith here at the Music Universe. I'm Buddy Iahn, and joining me on the phone is Stuart, and we're going to talk about the brand new album, Hard to Kill. It's the group's fourth studio album, and Stuart, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, I was meant to go shooting this morning with Steven Tyler, but he's got a migraine, as you call them over here.
Oh, wow. You mean shooting as in just like shooting off some rounds?
Yeah.
Awesome. It must be cool to have some neat friends like that, right?
Yeah, well, Steven and I are both into, we like shooting and that, so we're going to go this morning, but I said, well, listen, I've got an interview to do, so you can probably do it. It'll be on the way to the range, so you can do it in the car with me.
That would have been really cool. But I'm glad to have you on, and wanted to talk a little bit about your new album. It's Heaven and Earth's fourth studio album, Hard to Kill. And I was listening to it. I'm really digging it, man. It's a throwback to 70s rock. It's got a lot of organ and keyboards, and it's just a lot of cool classic blues rock.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. Did you hear the album we had before, Dig?
I didn't get a chance to hear that one yet. I'm gonna have to go back and check that one out too.
Yeah, it's in the same vein. We sort of stepped up the game a bit for this album, just because when we brought out Dig, every review was like amazing. I mean, it's just said this is best album of the year and everything else. So we really knew we had to sort of work hard to sort of top it. You can't bring out something that's not as good as before. Well, I can't anyway. I've always got to sort of try and do better,
right.
Make it better. So it took 2.5 years recording this one.
So 2.5 years is kind of a long time these days for an album.
Well, yeah. We took about the same, nearly the same amount of time for the last album. It's just that our record company is really behind us, and we're very lucky in the fact that they're so behind us that they'll sort of give us the time to do that, because most record companies they want they'll give you a small budget and say you've got to get it done really quick. Whereas the head of our record company, Bruce Cordo, he'll sort of say, listen, I don't care how long it takes or how much it costs, but I want this. If you feel you can do better, go and do it again. So we would spend a lot of time writing, and crafting the songs. I think that's what takes a lot of time as opposed to the recording. We'll go in and we'll record. We'll work on writing up a song, working up a song, and then Joe Resser will get his little his 8-track and just run some mics, and and then he'll make MP3s and send it to everyone that night. So we'll listen to it, and then the next time we get together, we know all the sort of things that we need to fix. But we can actually sort of change a song around about 50 times before we say, okay, we're ready to record it now.
Wow.
And the only reason we can do that is because our record company, gives us the freedom to do it. Most record companies have said, all right, you've got a deadline of 3 months, and you're going to get this amount of money, so you've got to do it quick because you're not making any money with it.
Right. Yeah, and you actually have legendary drummer Kenny Aronoff on this. How did that relationship come about?
I was down at the Greek Theatre, and I saw Kenny with Chickenfoot, and he was just he was the star of the show. He was just so good, and I met him after the show, and we chatted for a while, and then I went to one of these bars where they have these jam sessions around LA, and I went to that one night, and Kenny was there, and he said, "Oh man, we got to jam together." So when it came time to get up and play, Kenny and I got up and jammed, and we had Highway Star, I think, and we literally got a standing ovation. It was mind blowing. And this is just
Nice.
in this bar. But we got it, and I just turned around to him afterwards and said, I have got to play with you. It was just instant magic, and he's a great guy, really funny as well. So we got on well.
Yeah, do you remember the Cat Club on Sunset?
I do, yes. I used to go there.
Well, I did too. I actually met him there. He was doing a Zeppelin tribute one night, and I had just started a job, and I went and stayed out till like 2 a.m. Was late the next morning, but by about an hour and a half. But I got to hang out with Kenny for about 20 minutes afterwards. Super nice guy, and that was really cool.
Yeah, he's very funny. He's great. I mean, we would have had him to go on the road with us, but he's sort of contracted to John Fogerty, so we didn't we weren't able to have him to come on the road with us. But I mean, it was just a lot of fun to work with as well. He sort of makes the whole thing, the process, fun, which is half the battle.
Oh yeah, you gotta really get along with your bandmates if you're gonna be in the recording studio. I've been there, and there've been quite a few tense times that's just not fun. And like the rest of us that migrate out here, you kind of made your way on the Sunset Strip.
Yeah, I remember when I came out here, it was 1986, and the Strip was just insane.
I mean,
every night. I mean, it was just a massive. It was the big hair days.
Oh, yeah.
The Key Club. Originally, it opened up, it was Billboard Live, and then it was the Key Club. Played there, Gazzari's. It was originally Gazzari's, that's right.
Yeah.
And the Roxy, the Whiskey, and, the usual suspects.
And it's all changing. What do you think about that? The Sunset Strip changing so much as far as the House of Blues going down and a new... I think they have like a apartment complex going up there.
I know, it's ridiculous. I mean, there'll be somewhere else though. Someone will realize, they'll wake up and go, oh, there's a niche here that needs to be filled, and they'll open up some other place. Yeah, you can't stop rock and roll, as they say.
Oh, exactly. And you guys are keeping that alive. I love the album. I love the vibe of you guys. And you've actually had guidance from Ritchie Blackmore. And those who may be unfamiliar with that story, can you tell us a little bit about how he took you under his wing?
Well, I was classically trained from from 8 years old, and I really had no interest in rock music. I mean, I thought the Beatles had some good songs, but really never listened to rock music. And my father was a jet fighter pilot, and we lived on the RAF bases, and some friends of mine. Well, actually, he was an officer then, so we were out off the bases. But some friends of my parents said, "Hey, we've got a spare ticket to this rock concert. Does your son want to go?" And I went, "No, not really." And they said, "Go on, get out of the house, give us some peace." So I went along to this concert, pretty bored all day, and so right down the front, and then. They announced the last act, which is Deep Purple. It was the time of In Rock, if you remember that album. And they used to open up with Speed King, which was just amazing. And I sat there, and this guy in black just came running to the front and carrying these incredible classical runs with so much emotion and volume. They were loud. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. So that's what turned me on to rock and roll. And then at 19, when I was 19, I met Ritchie, and we became very good friends, and we just had a lot of the same interests and everything. And so we just he sort of took me under his wing. And when I was living in England, and it was at 1983, and everything was just sort of Duran Duran and dance music. And England's so small that if you're not playing music that's in fashion, you starve. So Ritchie said, "Why don't you move to the States?" He came out on tour. He just got Joe Lynn Turner in the band, and he had a hit. I Surrender, and they were touring. And I was on the tour with him, just hanging out. And he said, "Why don't you come over to the States?" He said, "It's so big that no matter what style of music you're doing, there's always an audience." So I took his advice, packed up, went, and he lived in Huntington, Long Island. So I moved over there and then got my own place in Northport, just up the road. And I formed a band. And Richie would help out because he'd play with us. So and they'd advertise this on the radio. So our first gigs when I came out here were to clubs of 1,000 people plus, because MTV was really big at the time and Richie was all over it. So
Right.
And they'd announce on the radio that there's going to be and word had spread like it does. There's going to be so we'd go on and play our set, and then go off and come on for the and bring on Richie, and it was great. He helped out tremendously in that sense, and also with just his playing. I was so much, it's funny because when he came around in England, we went around and met my mother. The first thing she said to him is, "Oh, so you're not just a cardboard cutout." Because this is a guy I grew up with posters of on my wall and everything.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But it was, he was very instrumental, and it taught me so much. Just not just about playing, but about attitude, about how approaching the instrument and the business in general.
Right. Yeah, I hear a lot of Rainbow influence in your music too.
Yeah. Well, that was the one that turned me on, and both Deep Purple and Rainbow were sort of classically influenced and blues, and so we have the same sort of roots.
Right. Yeah, it's all great music if you ask me, because I don't like this processed pop stuff that's going out. Really, I really like this 70s vibe you guys got going, and you're set to embark on a world tour in support of the album. You guys plan to make that announcement soon. Have you made it yet? I think I might have missed that if you did.
Well, we're out and playing. We go out next weekend. We're just doing warm-up gigs at the moment. The touring season doesn't really start till next year, so the management now is working on getting us on a serious tour. We want to get over to Europe, because some of the big festivals are over there. And so it'll be next year that we get out full time. But in the meantime, we're just sort of doing some warm-up gigs, and we're rehearsing a lot as well.
Awesome. What can fans expect to see when they see you guys live?
Well, it's a sort of pretty exciting show. We got a great lineup. We've got Joe Retter, of course, and we got Lynn Sorensen from Bad Company. And when Kenny couldn't do it, we got in Steve Wilson, who's I don't know if you've heard of him. He was with the Dead Kennedys, but amazing drummer, really killer drummer. And we got our keyboard player got the gig with Katy Perry, Ty Bailey, who did the album with us. And it's like, but the money was insane, so he had to go and do it.
Oh, of course.
So he recommended a friend of his, Mike Mangan, and he came in and fitted in really well. So the band's is really kick-ass, and we've been rehearsing for like forever now. So we're hopefully going to put on a good show for everyone. What's your favorite song on the album?
Oh, geez. I started it and I listened to the whole thing, and there's not really a bad song. I really couldn't say that I have a favorite, because I like the whole album. I really do. That's not just me telling you that because I'm on the phone with you. That's really me as a rock fan. I really liked it. I like the production. I like the instruments. I like the vocals, the music, everything. So I really couldn't say I have a favorite. I like the whole thing in general. Do you have a favorite? I know that's not a good thing to ask a singer-songwriter musician, because they're all their favorites, but is there one maybe that you like over the others, or a couple?
But it changes all the time. I mean, when I've done an album, I mean, you've heard the song from when you first start recording it about 500 times, because you record it, and then you're doing the guitar overdubs and the vocal overdubs and keyboard overdubs, and then there's the mixing and everything. So when I finished with an album, I don't listen to it. It takes me a little while because you're just so you're just so close to it, and you're sort of fed up with it, really.
Right.
And then you start listening and you go, this isn't bad. So my favorites change every time. I really, Bad Man is I think one of my favorites. And Bleed Me Dry was a very personal song. It's one that I wrote sort of most of with Joe. When we write, my favorite way to write is because I sit at night, and generally from about 7, 8 o'clock onwards, the phone stops ringing, and that's when I get a chance to really pick up the guitar, and I'll sit and play till like 4 a.m. sometimes. Oh, nice! And I get all these ideas, and if I get something good, I'll just get my iPhone and I'll record just the riffs. So when the band gets together to do an album, I say, okay, here's a load of riffs, and I'll play them, and we'll get to one where everyone likes a certain one. We go, okay, we like this one. So I'll start playing it, the band will start joining in, and then everyone will sort of start adding their own parts. But a lot of the times during that time, people were on tour and that kind of thing. The same with Dig. People were in other bands and went on tour. So Joe Retter and I would get together, and we'd write. And Bleed Me Dry was I'd been through a really sort of bad breakup, and I sort of wrote most of it, and I gave it to Joe. I said, here's the title, here's some words, and Joe added some music as well. And so you'll see some of the songs where it's just Joe and I, because the rest of the guys were sort of off doing things. But Bleed Me Dry is one of my favorites, simply because it was very close to me. Walk Away, I don't know, it changes, and so as far as favorites go.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's all great music there, and I completely relate where you're just in love with the song, and then you're just kind of tired of it by the time you not only hear it, but you have to play it night after night after night. Anthem actually was one of my favorites too. Just really just kind of just straightforward hard rock. It's just really great. And I'm glad you guys are out there keeping rock alive.
Well, that's what we're trying to do is with this is we're trying to. We really want to. We're playing what we love. Playing the same songs every night. I don't mind that at all. I enjoy. I love playing live. Recording is okay, but then it becomes it becomes tedious when you spend as long as we do on sort of getting everything right and everything. So we go on to when you play it live, you always try and make it slightly different every night, and you push the envelope and that. What we're trying to do is bring back, if you remember the old days of bands like Zeppelin and Purple, they'd start a song off, and the song could go on forever, because they would just go off into a jam and everything.
Oh, I love that.
I love doing that. I really do. I love sort of and no one's doing it,
right?
Which is a shame. There's no bands out there these days doing it. We're trying to sort of. It's also a case of trying to bring back the magic. We're just playing what we love doing. So it's we're sort of on this mission to try and get sort of guitar-driven music back into the forefront again, because it's been really buried, especially in the last few years. It's all computers and this, and you get all these bands nowadays that go into the studio, and I walked in once. Our producer was producing someone, and I walked in, and I said, "Dave, they're horrible." And he said, "I know. the drummer was out of time, the guitarist was out of time and tune, and the singer could hardly sing. And I went in there about 2 days later, and it sounded brilliant. Of course, this is it. He manipulated it with Pro Tools. He put the drums into time, the guitar, and locked it in, and the bass, and everything else, and tuned the singer, put the singer into tune. So it's
a sad state, if you ask me, when you have to do that.
Yeah, it really is. And the problem is, there's a lot of these bands out there that are really popular, who they bring out these albums, but they can't play it live. They absolutely suck when it comes to doing it live, and that's the curses of Pro Tools. We use it. Well, not really. We don't generally use it to fix something. We'll use it more in an editing fashion. We'll say, all right, look, maybe we could do with this pre-chorus. Let's take that out, go straight into the chorus, and then add another chorus. And it's easy to do that with Pro Tools. You could, like before, you'd have to sort of cut tape and all this kind of thing. So it's useful for that. But I think it's abused too much, which is why you have all these bands that are just really lame out there, which is a shame. It's the attitude as well. It's the younger musicians. I sort of sense a change out there where people are going back. The younger generation, anyway, is going back and they sort of pick up guitars. They copy like their bands that they like, and they go, well, this isn't really hard, and they start listening to stuff that their parents listen to, and they go, oh, this is killer. I'm waiting to be amazed. The same way as I was when I see Ritchie Blackmore with Deep Purple or Led Zeppelin or Free or anything else. I'm still waiting for one of these new bands to come out and blow me away. A lot of the stuff that you hear from like Jeff Beck and Purple and all this was done when they were in their 20s, and I'm still amazed at some of it.
Oh yeah.
Whereas those bands, I go and watch or see a band, and there's not that magic there. But I'm hoping that I've always got hope for it.
So you guys have that magic. I could tell from the opening title track that you guys were a jam band. Yeah,
and we want to expand on that, but it's we had Chris Lord-Alge mix the album for us, and he just did such an amazing job. And he's the one who said, you've got to get out there and play the songs as they are. So so people get to, when you get big enough, and you're sort of, where at the moment you have to just get on and hit them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the songs as they are. But as you get bigger and people get to know you, then you can sort of mess around a bit and have a bit more fun with it.
Right.
So we're at that stage. We're just trying to get the band well known enough to get out there and on a big tour where we can start doing some of this messing around.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
It comes naturally after a while. It's when you've got a bunch of musicians that have played together for so long, you get that sort of telepathy going where you just a look across the room and everyone will know what you're going to do next.
Oh yeah, and some of the best songs come from those jam sessions.
Oh yeah, definitely. Some of the best ideas I've had have been at sound checks, where you get to sound check and I'm plugged in and the drummer's got his sound, and you're just waiting for something. So I start off a riff and everyone starts jamming, and we all go, hey, this is pretty good. So we record it on the iPhone and then go and work on it later. But I like the idea of actually sort of being on the road, so you can actually write songs and then try them out on the audiences, so that when you go into record, you've already written the song, you know what you're doing.
Right.
Whereas the way we do it at the moment, we sort of we have to sort of write write the song, first.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And so we're just we start a radio promotion campaign on November the 1st, so that's going to be good. And we're just getting ready to get out there and play.
Everybody, Stuart Smith from Heaven and Earth, a guitarist, songwriter, co-founder, kicking it right there and rocking it from coast to coast and worldwide next year. Check them out, Heaven and Earth, Hard to Kill, available now. We're The Music Universe. Check us out at themusicuniverse.com and all social channels. Thanks for listening.